Well, hello everybody. Mike Townsend and Tamara Splitter here with American Cycling Network. Hey, thanks for watching. If don't mention at the end, if you like these videos, subscribe, share them. But today we're going to be talking about some things, and everybody knows Coach Tamara. She's incredible. She knows her stuff, and so look her up on Ignite sportsperformance.com. Did I say that right? Okay,
Sportsperformancecoaching.com.
sportsperformancecoaching.com. Ignite sportsperformancecoaching.com, and check out her bio. I mean, she's just an amazing coach. Has helped me realize that I was overtraining. And we were just talking today is Ask Tamara Anything Part Two. And so one of the questions that I had for you, Tamara, is that we were talking off camera. Is I'm older. Uh, I have been injured in the past, as everybody knows about my collarbone. And my wife says I beat that one to death. But recovering from there was a KOM that me and Jason went out one day, and we got this KOM, and I literally pulled a left glute so bad that it hurt to walk for like 4 days. I could not ride a bicycle, could barely walk the first couple of days. And that fear is there of like, oh my goodness, am I going to be sidelined for longer? But after 4 days, it seemed to kind of dissipate. I used a massage gun, I used the TENS unit, and was able to heal it. But do you see that in your coaching? Do you see injury? Do you see people afraid of being injured?
Oh, I mean, yes. I mean, we see a lot of injury. Not only did you have the glute injury, but yeah, you like you said, you had the collarbone. So we see, things from accidents that might happen to muscle strains, muscle pulls,
Hmm.
various other injuries. I mean, surgery or anything like that falls under complications from surgeries, falls under that. I myself had been dealing with an injury from a full hip replacement, and then the scar tissue that built around that, compressing that femoral nerve,
Yeah.
right? So,
Yeah.
there's various types of injuries. So we see it all the time. Yeah, especially, when you're really, really pushing towards a big event, and you're getting into that peak, your body is really breaking down at that point. You've been pushing hard for months and you're more susceptible for sure.
Okay.
A lot of
Well, and
muscular type
yeah,
things.
and this was prior to you being my coach. I know that, once you became my coach, we identified that I had been overtraining, and that probably, I guess that could have led to the glute injury. I was overtrained. I just
Hmm.
never felt rested. And,
Hmm.
getting ready for the Senior Olympics, I felt rested more the 3 days before the event than I ever have
Hmm.
since the last couple of years. So you did a good job there getting me ready, and then the day of felt really good. But there was this fear of injury, as we talked about off camera, and I
Hmm.
think that is what holds a lot of senior athletes like me and people older than me back a little bit, because we have a guy that has competed in the track. His daughter goes to our church, and he's 93, and he pulled a hamstring and couldn't compete this year. You know,
Hamstrings take a long time to heal. Hamstrings are one of the hardest areas to heal. They're a good 8 to 10 weeks, depending on the severity of that. And they're
well,
very susceptible to, once you've had a hamstring injury, for that to happen again. The likelihood is quite high.
yeah, and a fellow YouTuber, actually, Mitch Boyer, we have a video of him where we talked about some of Los Angeles area's biggest climbs. And of course,
Mhm.
Mitch just came back from a hamstring pull injury, and he was off the bike for quite a while. So,
Oh yeah.
yeah, you're right. It is serious.
It is very serious. And if you come back too soon, you come back too hard, you just re-injure that. It is really something that you need to be very, very careful of. I've seen it not just in cycling, in bodybuilding days, having a hamstring injury will really derail you for quite some time, a good 8 to 10 weeks for sure. Yeah.
Wow. How
Yeah.
how do they typically happen? I mean, is it, I told you about my knee last
Mhm.
Saturday. Jason and I went out, we did 53 miles. It was going to, we had not really hit our intervals very hard yet, but at 11 miles, we're going up a pretty good hill. I, I mean, I wasn't on the gas very hard, but I had a pain hit me in my right quad around the knee area, the muscle that comes across the knee, across the
Hmm.
leg.
Hmm.
And it literally, I've never had that ever. I mean, it literally felt like somebody grabbed one of those strands and pulled it and just let it go. And so we had a long downhill after that, a couple of miles actually, or decline, descent, not steep, but didn't have to pedal very hard. And we stopped at a convenience store where we normally get water, and I rubbed it, stretched it a little bit, and he was asking, do you want to turn around? But I decided to go ahead and ride it. And of course, at mile 25, 26, as you saw in our numbers, I was able to pull and put down some really strong intervals, which was the
Hmm.
whole purpose of the ride. So that fear, though, was there. And, we've talked a little bit about listening to your body. So
Hmm.
let's talk about how you can balance fear and listening to your body. What's that? Is there a secret that or a magic formula that we need to as athletes look at?
Well, I mean, you definitely should always be listening to your body, but fear can overtake you. Like the anxiety is there. You remember how much that hurt, how long you were derailed for, right?
Hmm.
And so you're afraid to push that boundary because you just can't have that happen again, right? So that
Right.
fear, that's individual. Everybody will go through that kind of thing, especially for you. You broke that collarbone.
Yeah.
And that really derailed you for a long time. Now, any time that and that happened on a descent in the
Yeah.
rain, the
Yeah.
next time you're on a descent in the rain,
Oh yeah.
that's going to affect you. That
Yeah.
really will. I mean, and I'm not the fastest on the downhills because I used to do downhill mountain biking and I took a horrendous crash. Had I not had a full face helmet on, yeah, I wouldn't,
Oh,
I
yeah.
would have had a broken, yeah, it would have been
Right.
very, very bad.
Yeah.
And so for me, it's an anxiety moment. Now I'm working through it. I'm getting better.
Hmm.
I'm not putting the brakes on as much, but
Right.
that's something that each individual has to work through. And the best way I can describe that is just like that old saying, right? When you get off the horse, you got to get back on.
Yeah. So it actually impacted our ride yesterday. You had put we were going to go up to a place not far from where we live, Foothills Parkway, beautiful. I was going to get some video and post it on the channel, and showers everywhere. It was raining all around us, and of course I felt bad because Jason and I were going to do it, and he ended up riding a trainer, and so did I. But had I not had the crash, we would probably have done it, and I would have just taken a what up rain jacket with me, and I would have just gotten wet.
Yeah.
And my wife's out of town, so that would have, I could have come back at at bedtime almost, and been fine. But that fear, and I actually mentioned it to Jason as we were talking about it. I said, well, the last time you and I went to the mountains and rain was involved, it didn't
Yeah.
turn out good for me. And
Yeah.
I think he understood me as that, hey, look, there's a little fear there. I really don't want to be up there. And this descent, it's an 8 mile descent. And I did it one day in right at 5 minutes and 20 seconds. I mean, you fly down this mountain,
Yeah.
and there's a lot of curves. It's pretty technical,
Yeah.
plenty of road to use. But of course, if we had been there, I wouldn't have done it that fast. I would have been very. I told one guy that I had lunch with yesterday. I said I'd be feathering the brakes all the way down. I'd be coasting. I would
I did.
not. I would not be pedaling my pedals going down that mountain
Yeah.
in the
Yeah.
rain. Now
Yeah.
on
And
dry
look,
asphalt, big difference. But I
look, you,
noticed even now, like during, rides now, I'm looking for object. Excuse me.
oh, bless
I
you.
am looking for objects on the road now. Like I'm never, because, you get something up in your front forks and, you go, I'm doing everything I possibly can to not go over the handlebars to damage
Yeah.
this again.
Well, and especially because that's so fresh. Yeah. But you do have to listen to your body. I mean, let's go back to hamstring, right? That's very
Yeah.
easy to re-injure.
Hmm.
So I think a lot of people don't take enough time in a warm up. These injuries tend to happen from, shortened muscles, from tight muscles. Now, not taking enough time to stretch. You should be stretching when you're warm, not when
Right.
you're cold. Having a good warm up and a stretch is very, very important. So when and I mean, this is cycling channel, so we talk about cycling, having a good warm up, getting into the workout when you're coming off your bike, when you're warm, having a good stretch, but overstretching isn't a good thing either,
Right.
right?
Right.
So, making sure that your nutrition's on point, that your rest is on point, that you're not overdoing things. These are all factors, right?
Yeah.
One thing that I can't stress enough too is I've actually been testing it on myself. There is a thing of overstretching.
Okay.
When you overstretch, you can actually hurt your muscles a lot too. So, and especially as we get older. So you have to be mindful of that kind of thing as well. But I do think a lot of these injuries can very much be prevented. Another thing that contributes to injuries is when people don't have proper bike fit. And when they're not balanced on their bike, right? So if you're and the power transfer that you have too. I mean, for myself with my injury, I only have 40% on the left
Yeah.
and 60% on the right, which is quite a difference.
Yeah.
And so I have to be very, very mindful when I'm doing my training to do some single leg drills, to go to the gym and do unilateral work on that side, because it can greatly affect in my back and in my hips when I'm out cycling. So these are all, factors that you have to look at.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, about stretching. Is there a magic formula to know when you're ready? Like, you get to a ride, you're going to stretch for a few minutes. Is there a certain time? Is there a certain
You shouldn't be stretching.
feeling?
You shouldn't be doing your stretching before your ride. So your warm up, anywhere from 10, 20 minutes, you're getting into the ride, right? Getting all those muscles nice and primed. That's what you need. Then
Okay.
you go and you ride, you come off that bike while you're still warm and you're doing some stretching at that point. Now, you might be stopping at the local coffee shop for cookies and cake and whatever, right? But I mean, you could still, do a 30-second stretch on each quad and
Yeah.
lean into a hamstring stretch, a little calf stretch, that kind of thing while you're
Right.
waiting for coffee. So these are all things that are important.
Sounds good. Yeah, that's so when Jason and I normally ride, we go through the neighborhood and we go down, and so we do that. We warm up a little bit before we really get into the, pounding the pedals too hard. It's usually, I don't know, probably 4 or 5 miles before we do it, before we actually start, getting into, and then even then, sometimes we may talk a little bit longer if we haven't ridden together in a while. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, but that's,
One of the areas that I will say now, and I did it myself for many, many years, that is neglected is the hips. A lot of people neglect their hips.
yeah,
And when you think about cycling, you're always in flexion,
yeah,
right? There's a lot of strain on the lower back and
yeah,
on the hips,
yeah.
and those need to be taken into consideration.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
that's something that,
I do that sometimes post ride. I used to do it more when I ran.
mhm.
So there's a video. There's also a video where I did just a real quick stretching, and there's the last thing that I do in there opens up the hips quite a bit. The last stretch. I'd love for you to get your input on that, but
Sure,
yeah,
yeah.
but it was originally for runners, but it seems to have transferred well to when I started cycling.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's good.
Yeah, I
So
find that area is very neglected. I mean, I was like the poster child for that.
okay.
And, it led to me having to have a hip replacement.
Yeah,
So
you just had a lot of wear and tear on that hip, I guess, over the
a
years.
lot, a lot,
Yeah.
a lot.
So is there anything you can do other than stretching after a ride, supplement wise, diet, rest? Is there anything you can do? I mean, I've used TENS units when I felt like I put the TENS unit on my knee the other day, and it really helped. And then I
Oh, it
also,
does, but
yeah, it
the
does.
TENS unit is temporary, right? So that's
Mhm.
not a permanent. That it's a
Right.
temporary relief. Remember that.
Okay. And I've also used and everybody will be hearing about it soon, 3,000 milligrams of CBD was almost miraculous because it took the swelling out. I mean, it's your skin is the biggest organ, so anytime you can get some medicine on the skin, it goes directly into the muscle. I haven't used it yet, but I have a pharmacist friend that has a compounding area, and they do ketoprofen. And ketoprofen is basically the same stuff that's in ibuprofen, but it's in a cream, and you can rub
Mm,
it directly onto the muscle, and it will help it. But supplement wise, and I know there's anti-inflammatory foods we can eat. Uh,
mhm.
is there anything supplement wise other than like turmeric that we can take after a ride? Is there anything?
So curcumin turmeric
Yeah,
is phenomenal for
okay,
taking inflammation and keeping that at bay. It's a phenomenal supplement you can take, making sure that you've got your magnesium.
yeah,
That's
I
very
do that
important
every night.
as well. And collagen. So as we are aging, we lose
Yep,
collagen, and that's very helpful for our joints,
yep,
just aging in general, your
right.
skin, all of those things, and having lean proteins, which is helping the muscles repair. So, when you're training, and it doesn't matter whether it's cycling or running or in the gym, what's happening is you're taxing those muscles, you're ripping those muscles up.
Hmm.
And so those muscles, they're not growing when you're doing the activity. So even if you've got the hardest VO2 workout that,
Hmm.
I've ever given you, that's not when you're doing your improvement. You're doing your improvement when you recover because your body's saying, literally, I have to protect myself against this abuse.
Yeah,
So we can't let that happen again. And so when you're recovering, that's coming from rest, the
yeah,
proper rest, but also from your nutrition. And so your muscles are relying on protein in order to be healing and repairing and growing stronger against that trauma that you've just, given them. And so getting the proper protein in, and I mean, a lot of people spend an enormous amount of money on supplements, and I can't stress enough that there are supplements that are very beneficial, but nothing is a miracle, right? Your actual nutrition is and your rest are much more important than any supplement ever will be.
I see. What about amino acids before you work out? Is that important that you do those? Does that help the protein to do its job?
Yes, it does. So aminos, like your branch chain aminos, and you can take them before or during. I like to take mine during.
Okay.
Those are muscle sparing. So,
Okay.
that's what protein is. It's nine essential amino acids, and so when you're bringing those in, those are muscle sparing while you're
Okay.
training. But
Okay.
when you're post training, you should be taking in a good protein. A lot of people like to make it nice and easy and take a whey isolate
Yeah.
protein. There's
Yeah.
a lot of different protein powders out there. The isolate protein, the protein molecules are smaller. The concentration of protein is usually about 92 to 94%, so a much higher concentration of protein. But not only that, easier on the gut, on the GI. A lot of people
Okay.
can't handle like the lactate, so the lactose,
Okay.
and so they go to a whey isolate, which is much easier on the stomach.
Okay. Good. That's good stuff. Well, I think we're about out of time. Hey, I appreciate you so much for your knowledge, wisdom, and everything. We'll post this and hope everybody will give us a like and a share. But Tamara, thank you so much for your input today. I appreciate you, and we'll talk again within the next week.
Sounds good, Mike.
All
Thanks.
right. Thank you so much.